Our hiring has gone virtual. For so many years, you were trying to, kind of get technology adoption when it came to kind of recruiting people,
Right.
right? We had middling success, I would say. The last 12 months, I think we have made giant strides in terms of the way
Right.
our recruiting happens. Our platforms have gone virtual, the adoption of technology and tools and predictive assessment tools has just kind of gone through the roof because and I was having a discussion with my team sometime earlier this month, and we were kind of talking about that for any new initiative or anything that you're trying to kind of bring into any organization, change management is a big part of it. And this 12 months, what we've learned is that that's the easiest part.
Right.
You no longer have the resistance, you no longer have the cynicism, you don't no longer have the fear of trying something new. And for instance, I mean, our entire college hiring was done virtual through using tools like HackerRanks and some of the other technologies that we're using. And we went into colleges that we would have never imagined that we would have gone.
It wouldn't have been feasible earlier. Absolutely.
And it has actually broken down some deep-rooted construction behaviors that organizations have. That the best talent, for instance, only exists in the IIDs and the NIDs.
In the named colleges.
And we were able to kind of expand our reach. We were able to do it a lot more efficiently. That instead of going to the 5 IIDs and 10 NIDs, we could reach out to 120 colleges at the same time. And roughly half of the talent that we hired actually didn't come in from those colleges.
Right.
And it was a big paradigm shift for our managers as well. It said that let's not kind of just focus on the conventional ways of doing things, and let's kind of get a little more unconventional. And there is a goodness to it as well. So I think a lot of our paradigms have taken a shift in the last 10 months or so. And change management has never been easier. Our digital adoption, self-service models, most companies kind of struggle with it. We struggle with it because we have a very, very intimate, manager-centric, employee-centric kind of an approach, right? Now, while that works very, very well at a interaction level, it becomes a big barrier for adoption of self-service and technology because they expect that somebody's going to do it for you.
Right.
And people who do it like to do it as well because they're saying, hey, I'm going to save time for our managers so that they can focus on more important things.
Right.
But it's almost like I was kind of thinking through like the technology transition that India went through. If you look at the way India kind of evolved from computers, we moved to mobile. We kind of missed the pager cycle that the US and some of the Western countries kind of went through. It's the same scenario. Our adoption of tools and technology has never been faster than what it has been in the last 10 months. And it's kind of refreshing. It is forcing us to change our models of engagement with our client groups.
Right.
As an example, we realize that there is, if you kind of look at a manager to HR, and I'm going to talk specifically about HR and not necessarily about the business as well.
Right.
90% of our interaction with managers are agnostic of their location and their business groups. It's about, sharing information in terms of what's happening from a company program perspective, what the people agenda is. And we had this huge team of HR BPs that were kind of doing it, but they were essentially sharing the same information. We replaced it with something called a manager resource center, where we were able to get 500 managers together on a periodic basis. We could engage with them, we could communicate with them, and more importantly, we could listen to them. And we were hearing voices that normally I would never hear.
You would hear it only through the
BPs. I would not interact with a first line manager as much as I would want to. And here are these forums and platforms that are getting created, where you're hearing new voices, you're hearing different voices, and you're learning new things. And you're not talking to the same 20 guys who are, part of the leadership team that you are very, very comfortable, very, very familiar with, right? And you're really, really kind of trying to understand people's struggles and people's challenges and people's understanding and of who we are as a company. So that's been a huge kind of learning for us as well.
Sure. No, I get that. So how there is obviously a side to it where getting feedback, in-person feedback, the engagement in physical terms used to be kind of the norm earlier, right? How are you seeing that play out? You might have gone through a reviews and feedback cycle during this
Employee
time.
surveys are dead. Employee surveys are dead. Pulse surveys are the way to kind of go forward. We are now doing very, very quick, snappy pulse surveys every 2 months. And we are doing it on a thematic basis, right? in terms of trying to understand what is on top of people's minds. For instance, our first survey was in terms of how are you kind of looking at work from home, and what is your confidence level in terms of coming back to work, and what would make you more comfortable. And there were some interesting perspectives that kind of came in there, where a lot of people basically said that I don't mind kind of coming to work, but I'm really, really kind of concerned about the well-being of my family. And my second biggest concern is that whether my coworkers are going to adhere to the new working norms. So it's not about me. I'm pretty confident I'll be able to do whatever you're asking me to do, or whatever the government was telling me. But I'm not too sure that my coworkers are going to be doing that. It was also very, very clear to us that people are saying that we want to kind of come back in phases. And perhaps the future is that 60% of our employees said that I don't see myself coming into work more than 2 to 3 days a week for a few hours, and make it more focused and make it more thoughtful, as against just coming to work because I am expected to kind of come to work.
Right.
And then you started kind of looking and breaking it down, right? And then surprisingly it was the millennials and the younger employees who are more interested in coming back to work, because they're just missing the social connection.
Right.
And they're saying that I want that social connection. I want to kind of come back to work, because work or office is a big part of my life. That social interaction is a big part of life, and I'm feeling a little kind of compromised by the fact that I'm missing those connections. A lot of them said, and it was interesting that one guy actually gave a comment saying that, look, you're asking me whether I'm going to work from my home, which is somewhere in Ratlam or whatever it is. I don't, because when I've come to Bangalore or when I've come to Pune, I'm trying to embrace a lifestyle, right? And I do not want to kind of go back to my hometown, because I have moved on from there.
Sure.
So I know a lot of companies are kind of talking about that people can work from anywhere. I don't think that in the future a lot of people are going to, at least in India, are going to be wanting to work from anywhere. I think they're going to be wanting to work from the location, may not be necessarily from office. So there's a lot more flexibility that's going to kind of come in there.
Right.
But I don't think that a lot of our employees, for instance, are going to necessarily start working from their hometowns.
Right.
Our second pulse survey was about collaboration, and saying as to whether collaboration is actually kind of working, because that was the biggest feedback that we got. And there was some strong feedback that came in there saying that, keep the business running kind of stuff, things that I'm already doing, I'm able to do it really well. People are kind of helpful. I'm getting the information that I'm needing, but I'm missing. And it's not what people call the water cooler experience, but I'm missing what they call the cafeteria experience.